Hey folks, Nas here. I appreciate everybody joining me today for another No Man's Sky Beginner's Guide video. In today's video, we are actually going to be discussing how to make 1 billion units a day. And yes, that's a billion with a B. Now, this is a long and drawn out process. I say long and drawn out. It physically took me about 3 days of playing the game to get all of the stuff set up. That way I can semi-passively make 1 billion units a day. So it is definitely worth going through the process to build these different bases, because you are going to need to have different bases to access, because it's going to be a whole lot easier if you are producing the items needed to make the final product that you're going to be selling to make your 1 billion units a day. And the item I'm talking about is actually going to be the Stasis device. Now you can see here that the total value, I've got 65 here, so you're going to be making 65 a day. Now granted, you can scale this up, you can make more, you can make less, but to essentially hit that easy sale, so you have one sale, you sell them all off, and you make 1 billion units a day. Now I've got mine set up to where I can produce this every 24 hours, roughly every 24 hours, but it does come in just under 24 hours. So every 24 hours you go through, you collect your items, you craft your stuff, make your Stasis device, and then you go and you find a system to sell it in. But you can see here that my total value on this stack of 10 that I'm hovering over right now is 156 million units. Now each Stasis device, let me make it a little bit easier for you to see. We'll just pull one out. You can see that one Stasis device is 15,600,000 units. So you make 65 of those, and if you sell them for just the flat out value, you're gonna have like 1.04 billion units or something like that. It's going to be 1 billion units, and depending on which station and which system you go to will also vary the cost, the value of the Stasis device. You can sell it to systems that will give you less than $1 billion. Less than 1 billion units. I would not recommend that. Obviously, you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, so then you're going to find a system that's going to, give you just a little bit more money. And I'll show you that later on. But we are in the anomaly. There are going to be a few things that you need to have some of the blueprints before you get started. So let's head back in the back of the anomaly. That way I can show you what you need to pick up. Now we're going to go back here to the construction research station in the back of the anomaly. And first off, you're going to want to have the biodome and at least a door. That's the very minimum. Now, you don't necessarily have to have the biodomes connected by corridors. You can literally lay the biodome directly on the ground and you can put a door on it. You just have to be able to get in it. That's it. Now, this guide, and I'm sure there's other guides out there. I know there's other guides out there that are going to show you different ways to glitch all of these items. I'm not doing any glitches. I'm not doing any cheats or anything. This is just straight up. I've built each of the bases, and I'm going to show you how to do this legitimately. Then on the agricultural modules, you're going to need to have the frostwort, gamma weed, the little cactus flesh plant. I cannot pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try. The star bramble, the solar vine, and then you're also going to want the gut rot flower as well. So it's the red one on the bottom. You're also going to need standing planters right here on the far left. And then on the industrial modules section, you are going to pretty much want to pick up anything dealing with mining. So you want the mineral extractor, you want the gas extractor, you want the supply depot and pipe. You also want, obviously, you have to pick up the electrical wiring before you unlock anything else. And then you want to get down here to the electromagnetic generator. This is going to be your best way to get the power you need for these bases. Now, you can run the bases off of solar panels and batteries if you would like, but that's a lot of extra materials that I don't think that you necessarily need to use unless you happen to find an area that does not have a power source nearby. Now we're going to head to the other side of the room here, and you want to also go to the Multitool research guy, EOS, I believe his name is. And you're going to want to make sure that you have your survey device installed in your Multitool. That's going to be on the very far right side here. Then we're going to go to the synthesis laboratory, which is right next to the Multitool gentleman there. And you're going to pick up quite a few things in here. Now, you can see that they take the nanites to actually purchase, just like the survey device. If you are short on nanites, I have a video that shows you how I like to make nanites in No Man's Sky. You can actually go and follow that and make some nanites before purchasing all of these items that you're going to need today. But obviously we're going to need to start with acid. We're going to need to pick up the lubricant and the thermic condensate. We need to make sure that we have glass, which usually you have that when you start the game anyway. You need polyfiber, living glass, you need the heat capacitor, and you need the circuit board. You're also going to need the enriched carbon, the nitrogen salt, semiconductor, hot ice, superconductor, cryopump. You're going to need the aronium. You need the magnogold. You need the grantine. I've been pronouncing this one wrong. I noticed this yesterday. I've been calling this granite. It's grantine. I've been saying it wrong for years. But anyway, you need the grantine and you need the iridesite. I think that's how you say it, but the little pretty one down at the bottom here. You're also going to need to unlock the portable reactor. We're not going to be using the portable reactor, but you have to unlock it in order to get to the next items. You need the quantum processor, the cryogenic chamber, and then you need the stasis device. So you're pretty much going to be purchasing almost all of the items on this page. But those are the items that we need in order to actually produce the stasis device. Alrighty, folks, now that you have all of the blueprints that you need to make your stasis device, this is where you're going to take some time. You're going to go out and you're going to locate the different gases and minerals that you need so you can make bases at those locations. That way you can actually collect enough of the product so you can make 65 stasis devices in one session. Now, as you can see right here behind me, I have got a supply depot with 32,500 sulfurine in it. You're actually going to need to collect sulfurine, radon, nitrogen. Those are the gases. You need 32,500 of each of those. Then you're going to need to collect on the minerals. I believe I got phosphorus over here. So I'm actually collecting one gas and one mineral in one base. So that way you make a base and you can collect two items as long as they're close enough together. So on my phosphorus, you see that I've got 3,250. That's going to be the same thing for the paraffinium, the phosphorus, and the dioxide. We need 3,250 of each of those. Now, the phosphorus and the sulfurine can typically be collected on hot planets. The dioxide and the radon, matter of fact, I can actually show you in the base terminus because I've got bases for all of these. So you can see right here, the dioxide and radon on one planet, one base. And then I've also got the paraffinium and the oxygen down here in the bottom left corner, again on one planet. So that way you're not making a base for each mineral and you're not making a base for each gas. Now, you can see up here in the top right, I've got a base for my nitrogen only and my cobalt only. That way, I was unable to collect nitrogen and cobalt on the same planet. So those are separate for me. Now, when you're doing your mineral setup, this is a little bit overkill for a 24-hour collection period. I set it up this way mainly because this is the storage as well. The only other storage I have is back at the base, which is the storage depot for my minerals. So what I've done is I've placed 7 extractors on the base. Let me go into camera mode so I can kind of show you a little bit better here. So I've used the little triangle floor pieces, and I've placed the center point on the center location of the highest concentration for the mineral. Same thing for the gas. And then I place 7 extractors on the bottom. So I place 1 in the middle and 6 around it. And then I place the 2 on top. And then 1 supply depot back at the base. That gets me my 3,250 minerals that I need. So that's why I've set this up this way. Alrighty, and we're down here at the sulfurine extraction area. Let me get into camera mode again so I can kind of show you. So I've done the same kind of setup. You can actually see the sun's coming up, so you can actually see the platforms a little bit better. So I've used the little triangle pieces to make me a little like stop sign, octagon or whatever. Place 1 extractor in the very center and then place 6 around it. Now you can see here that I did 1, 2, 3, 4 platforms with 7 extractors. Then I did, let me get up here because you can see I've got a little extractor up here. I did 2 extractors on the 5th platform. And then I did, let me get in here. So there's 2 extractors in here. So I placed 1 in the center, 1 in the back. And then I placed 5 storage units around it. And then I did 1, 2, 3 more platforms with storage units on them. The top platform only has 5. Let's see, is it only the top? Yeah. So there is 1 platform with 7, and then there's 2 platforms with 6, and then I have the 1 storage unit that's back in the base, wherever my base is. I can't see it from here. Oh, wait. Right dead center of the screen. It's very tiny. But that way you can kind of get an idea of how many units, how many storage units you need, how many extractors you need for the 32,500 in gas you need. So this is just my sulfurine. But you can see there's a little tower here. Now, I'm not going to show you how to build all of these different towers. I've given you the idea because this would be a super long video if I went through building all of these for you. So I've built all of these. That way I can kind of show you what you're looking for. Now, the extractors, doesn't matter whether it's the gas extractor or the mineral extractor. The gas extractors will store 250 of whatever it is that you're collecting. And then the storage depot will store, the storage depot will store 1,000. So each one of these units stores 1,000 of whatever you're collecting. In my case right now, it's sulfurine. So you want to go and you build your base for the sulfurine and phosphorus on hot planets, the dioxide and radon on frozen planets, the paraffinium and oxygen on like a paradise planet. Now the oxygen is a bonus. and I'll go over where you're going to use that later, but there's no specified amount that you have. I have my oxygen set at 10,000 right now. I probably could have taken it up a little bit more, but oxygen is going to be key, and you're going to be using it all throughout the game, not just for this particular guide. And then you're also going to need cobalt. Now, cobalt, let me go into my discoveries here so I can kind of show you my system. So you can see right here that cobalt is on my airless planet. So I went and grabbed cobalt off of that particular planet. Now, I built all of mine in the same systems. You can see at the very top of the description, it says NASA's nitrogen on this particular planet. I built a base on that planet, named it NASA's nitrogen. Same thing over here, NASA's sulfurine and phosphorus. That's where we're actually at right now. And then, of course, my airless planet has my cobalt. And then I actually have my Stasis, my main base, so to say, for the Stasis devices on this planet here. And then I've got my paraffinium and oxygen on this planet. So I'm gathering everything that I need in this system. I don't have to go to another system. So I could fly to each of these planets if I wanted to, but I don't have to because I have teleporters set up in each of my bases. Now, while you're out searching for your gases and your minerals, you're obviously going to need quite a bit of building materials and things to build those particular bases and set up all of those extractors and storage depots. I recommend having a decent multi-tool. Make sure that it's kitted out with, as many of the upgrades as you can get for it. So the multi-tool that I currently am using is an Atlantid multi-tool. And I do have a video that shows you how to collect one of these multi-tools. The main thing about this multi-tool is going to be the runic lens. This is probably the most efficient mining tool there is. Mining laser there is. And then you can add the mining beam onto it, making it even more powerful. And then, of course, you're going to have the advanced mining laser. And then you're going to have the optical drill. And you kind of want to place the optical drill in a supercharged slot. That way you get the 88% resources mined, so you get more materials when you're mining things. If I remove that out of that supercharged slot, you can see I only get 50% resources mined. So that's kind of key. And then get you some S-class upgrades. If you can place the upgrades in a supercharged slot, that's even better. Makes the mining tool even more powerful. Now, I use this mining tool. You can see I don't have any weapon on this mining tool because it's strictly for mining. That's it. That's all I use it for. I have a completely other multi-tool that I use as my weapon. Go follow the video to get the Atlantid multi-tool. You don't have to have it. It's not a necessity. Yep, thermal protection falling. It's not a necessity. It just makes life a little bit easier. So while you're out exploring and finding your locations, if you follow that guide, maybe you can pick up an Atlantid multi-tool while you're out and about. Otherwise, you can use any multi-tool. Let me switch back to my weapon multi-tool. So you can use one of these multi-tools here if you'd like. Now, granted, this is strictly just my weapon. Now, granted, it does have the hacked laser on it, which is also very nice. This is probably second to the runic lens. But try and make sure that you have your mining laser kind of kitted out with S-class upgrades as well. And of course, the optical drill, so you're getting as many resources when you're using your drill. Alrighty, so I am at my Stasis device base. So this is where I'm planting all of my plants. I have 8 floors, so you can count them here from the bottom up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 floors. Each floor has 15 biodomes. So we can do a little bit of math real quick. If I could pull up my calculator, we can do 8 times 15, which is 120 biodomes. I have 4 biodomes left over that I am not using. So ideally 116 biodomes for all of my plants. That's a lot of biodomes, but you only have to collect this stuff once a day. and it makes you tons of money. Now, you're going to need 26,000 gamma root. What that translates into is to 520 plants. Now, in order to plant 520 plants of the gamma root, you're going to need 26,000 gamma root and 13,000 uranium. Now, you can, if you collect more uranium than you have gamma root, so let's say that you're short on your gamma root, in the medium refiner, you can actually put in this particular formula. 1 gamma root plus 1 uranium will actually give you 2 gamma root back. So you can actually produce gamma root in the medium refiner. It just takes time to do it. That's all. So that's if you're short on plants or something like that and you have an abundance of uranium. Then on the fecium, you need 3,250. That's going to translate into 130 fecium plants. So that means you need 5,200 fecium to plant 130 plants. Next, you're going to need 19,500 frost crystal. That's going to translate into 390 frostwort plants. So in order to get 390 frostwort plants, you're going to need 19,500 frost crystal, and you're going to need 9,750 dioxide to plant 390 frostwort plants. Next, you're going to need 13,000 selenium. That's going to translate into 260 selenium plants. That means that you need 13,000 selenium and 6,500 phosphorus in order to plant those plants. Next is the cactus flesh, which translates into 65 plants. Now this is going to be the echinacea plant or whatever it's called. Looks like the little cactus, hence cactus flesh. In order to plant 65 of those plants, to get the cactus flesh, you need 3,250 cactus flesh, 1,625 pyrite. Now again, those plants are from like desert type planets. Next, you're going to need 13,000 star bulb. That translates into 520 star bulb plants. That means that you need 26,000 star bulb and you need 13,000 paraffinium to plant 520 star bulb plants. Alrighty, so now that we've gone over the plants that you need, we've gone over the gases you need, we've gone over the minerals that you need, there's still a few more, there's still something else that we do need. Now, again, I mentioned that you should have oxygen being produced as well, because you are going to use oxygen. It's going to help you in multiplying carbon. So if you notice, behind me, I've got these little standing plants. Now you can collect these standing plants and get carbon from each one of these. Now I think I've placed about 100 or something of these. No, I haven't placed 100. I think it's 60 of them. But they're all around the base of the bottom floor of my base here. So you can go and collect all of these and get carbon. Now these will give you anywhere from 62 to 120 carbon per pick. It's just random. There's no set amount like there is on the plants. However, you need 19,500 condensed carbon total. Now, to get condensed carbon, you can actually put in carbon in a refiner and it will refine it 2 to 1. 2 carbon will give you 1 condensed carbon. But if you add oxygen to the mix, it multiplies it. So in a medium refiner, if you put in 2 carbon and 2 oxygen, you're going to get 5 condensed carbon. Now, to make it even better, if you take 1 condensed carbon and you add 2 oxygen, it will give you 6 condensed carbon. So what I recommend is putting enough planter stands, these standing planters, to give you, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand carbon. Collect all of the plants from the standing plants, or collect enough carbon out while you're exploring. Then you can put that carbon in a refiner, refine it. It's going to give you condensed carbon. Then you put all of that condensed carbon back in the refiner and you add oxygen to it, and it's going to give you double the amount of items you put in there in condensed carbon. So again, 1 condensed carbon plus 2 oxygen gives you 6 condensed carbon. So it's going to double your amount. But regardless, however you get it, whether you're collecting it out while you're exploring, whether you're refining carbon into condensed carbon, you need 19,500 condensed carbon daily. Now, the cobalt that you're collecting through your mineral extraction, you're going to need 19,500 cobalt daily. You're going to need to refine that 19,500 cobalt into 9,750 ionized cobalt. So in a medium refiner, it takes 2 cobalt to make 1 ionized cobalt. Now, you can supplement that again with oxygen. If you take 2 cobalt and 2 oxygen, you can get 5 ionized cobalt. Then, if you would like, if you're still short on your ionized cobalt, you can take 1 ionized cobalt in the medium refiner with 2 oxygen, and it's going to give you 6 ionized cobalt. That way you can actually make up, if you're not collecting the 19,500 cobalt from your mineral extraction, which you can easily do. It's not hard. You just add the machines and the storage so you can collect that much in a 24-hour period. Regardless of how you're getting your cobalt, you want to refine it down, you need a total of 9,750 ionized cobalt every 24 hours. Now, I'm going to go around, I'm going to collect all of my plants, and then we're going to start crafting. Alrighty, so I have collected all of my plants. You can actually, I'll show you here. Let me move that for just a second. Now, I've collected all of my plants. I've collected all of my gases, all of my minerals that I need. You can see how much space it's taken up in my inventory. Now, I am on normal. I am not on permadeath. Now, if you're in permadeath, this is going to take up a lot of more spaces, especially if you have the storage restricted on your permadeath. But I'm in normal. You can see how much space it's taken up in my exosuit inventory. It's not very much at all. What is that? 3 times 10? So roughly 30 slots. Now, granted, you're going to need a few extra slots because we're getting ready to start actually producing items. We're going to be crafting items next. Now, I've come back to my freighter. That way I could use the large refiners that I have on my freighter. But you can actually go in, you can put your carbon, if I can find it. So you can put your carbon in there, and it takes 2 carbon to produce 1 condensed carbon. You can process that, and then you can add your oxygen to it, which I don't have handy because I've already processed mine. But like I had mentioned earlier, you can add oxygen to it, and then it'll give you 1 condensed carbon. 2 oxygen will give you 6 condensed carbon. So same thing with the ionized cobalt. 1 ionized cobalt, 2 oxygen will give you 6 ionized cobalt. So while you are while you're refining your condensed carbon and your cobalt, we can actually start producing a couple of items. First is going to be glass. Now we are going to be producing 325 glass. Now, depending on what difficulty you're setting you're on, your stack sizes are going to change, but for normal, your glass stacks up to 50 per stack. So that's going to be 6.5 stacks of glass. So let's go ahead and go through and produce 325 glass. Alrighty, there we go. I've got my 325 glass. Next, we're going to produce 65 lubricant. So we go into the next space, next empty space. We can actually scroll through our craft products, find lubricant. You can see it takes Fecium and Gamma Root. You're going to produce 65 lubricant. So you can see here my stack size is 40. So we're going to produce one stack plus 25. Now you got your 65 lubricant. We're going to produce 65 living glass. So again, we're going to click on an empty spot. We're going to go to our crafting products and we're going to find living glass. Takes 1 lubricant and 5 glass. There we go. We've got 65 living glass produced. Next, we're going to produce 65 polyfiber. Again, you're going to click on an empty slot, craft product. You're going to find polyfiber. Takes cactus flesh and star bulb. Again, we're going to produce 65 of these. There we go. We got 65 polyfiber made. Next, we're going to produce 65 heat capacitor. Empty spot, craft product, find heat capacitor. There we go. We're going to produce 65 of these. It's going to take frost crystal and selenium. Alrighty, there we go. We've got 65 heat capacitors made. Now we're going to make 65 circuit boards. Click on an empty spot, craft product. You're going to find circuit boards right there. It's going to take heat capacitor and polyfiber. There we go. Now we have 65 circuit boards made. Now, once you've got your condensed carbon made, we can make these next items. So again, you're going to find an empty spot. You're going to hit craft product. You're going to find enrich carbon. Takes radon and condensed carbon. You're going to produce 130 enriched carbon. Alrighty, there we go. We've got 130 enriched carbon. Now, if you're running out of storage space, remember that you can use your storage containers that are in your base or on your freighter. If you're on a planet, you can also summon your ships. You can use multiple ships to store items in. You can use your exocrafts to store items in. So if you're running out of space in your exosuit, just remember you can transfer things to some of your different storages to make space. Next, we're going to make thermic condensate. You can see it takes sulfurine and condensed carbon. You're going to make 130 thermic condensate. Alrighty, there we go. We've got 130 thermic condensate. Next, we're going to be making nitrogen salt. Takes nitrogen and condensed carbon. We're going to be making 130 nitrogen salt. Next, we're going to be making 65 semiconductors. You can see it takes thermic condensate and nitrogen salt. We're going to be making 65 of these. Next, we're going to be making 65 superconductors. You can see it takes semiconductor and enriched carbon. Next, we're going to make 65 hot ice. Takes enriched carbon and nitrogen salt. Next, we're going to be making 65 cryopump. It takes hot ice and thermic condensate. Next, we're going to be making 65 cryogenic chamber. Takes living glass and the cryopump. Next, we're going to be making 65 quantum processors. It takes a circuit board and a superconductor. Now, we've got 2 of the 3 items that we need already to make the stasis device. Now, as long as you've got your ionized cobalt all taken care of, remember you needed 9,750 ionized cobalt. Next, we want to start making uranium. You can see right here, uranium takes paraffinium and ionized cobalt. You want to make 65 of these. Next, we want to make 65 of the magna gold. Takes phosphorus and ionized cobalt. Next, we're going to make 65 of the grantine. Takes dioxide and ionized cobalt. Now to make the last item that we need to make our stasis devices, we're actually going to be making 65 of the iridesite. I'm pretty sure I'm screwing that up, but it looks like iridesite to me. So let's make 65 of these. Alrighty, folks, we are now ready to make our final product, which is the stasis device. You're going to be making 65 of these. And if you followed this guide to the T, you should have exactly enough items to make the 65 stasis device that you're going to need to sell to make the 1 billion units a day. So let's make our 65 stasis device. And there we go. You have now made your 65 stasis device. Now, I currently have another 65 on me. So I've got 130 stasis devices on me. But we are going to go to the space station. Come on. I'm trying to move all this stuff up the way it's all together. There we go. There's 65 there and there's 65 there. So now let's go to the space station. Actually, before we go to the space station, I actually have a galactic trade terminal on my freighter. So now let's click sell. I'm on my inventory. Let's see how much we can sell these for. So this is a plus 0.3% on the demand. This is just about as low as you can get before you start getting into negative numbers. You do not want this demand to be in the negative because then you're going to make less money. But as you can see, I've got 130 stasis devices. That's 2,033,436,032 units. So we're clearly making the 1 billion units a day. Did I say 2 billion or did I say 2 million? No, that's billion. 2 billion. Let me read through these numbers again. 33,436,032 units. That's a lot of numbers. Now, I am going to choose to sell the 65. Let me lower this and let me just select 65. There we go. Now you can see right here, I've got 65 of 130 selected, and there's 1,016,718,016 units. And then you click sell. Now, granted, I've already got 2 billion units, 2.2 billion on me. If I sell that 65, you'll see that number going up over here. And now I've got 3.29 billion units. And if I sell the last of these, I would have 4.2 billion units. Now, you can make these stasis devices every day. You don't have to build anything else. I know it takes a lot of time to build all of these different bases and set up the mineral collection and the gas collection and to plant the plants. It's a lot of clicking, but it's definitely worth it. And if you're doing things like buying ships to scrap them for the parts or something like that, or you're just buying everything, you don't have to worry about units in the game, and you are passively collecting all of these items. You just have to build the product. That's it. You go in, you collect your stuff, collect your plants, you collect your minerals, you collect your gas from your different depots and your biodomes, and then you take, I don't know, 10 minutes or something and build all the products that you need. Now, granted, you can refer back to this video to help you build those items. I will have timestamps and stuff below. That way you can refer back to this video later. Now, again, If you need to know how to make nanites or you need to know how to make units to get you started in this, I have videos for those. They will be in the description below. If you need to know how to set up the mining bases, the mining and gas collection bases, I have a video for that as well. That will also be in the description. So that way you can set up your mining and gas extraction bases perfectly to give you the exact amount of items that you need to make the 65 stasis devices. Now, again, you can scale this up to where you make even more. So you can have other bases to where you make 65 per one base and 65 another base or whatever. And you can continue to do that. And then you can be No Man's Sky rich. Then you can be one of those people that has a stack of stasis devices and you go to the anomaly in multiplayer and you pass them out and you give them to people. You can spread your wealth in the anomaly. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, I greatly appreciate you for watching. Make sure that you click that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Also, as a special gift, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the glyph coordinates. Whoops, nope, I don't want to shoot stuff. I want to show you the glyph coordinates. That way, if you have access to a galactic portal, you can put in, and you have all 16 of your glyphs, you can put in these glyphs, and it's going to take you to the system that I'm currently in, and you can utilize my mining bases, my gas extraction bases. You can also utilize my stasis device plants. So you can come in here and you can collect these plants every 24 hours. If you don't have access to a galactic portal, I'll have a video link for that in the description. If you don't have all 16 of your glyphs, I'll also have a video link to help you get all 16 of your glyphs. No matter whether you're in normal, permadeath, or abandoned mode, there'll be videos below for you as well. Now, you can enter this address. It'll take you to this system. It'll probably drop you on this planet I'm on. Then, if I get out of here, I can show you that all of my bases are in this system. So you can see there's my nitrogen base. There's my dioxide and radon, sulfurine and phosphorus. I can't look up that high, but there's my cobalt. There's my paraffinium and oxygen. And then I'm currently standing at my 65 stasis device base. And then you can come in here and you can collect all of these plants every 24 hours. You can collect all of these items as well. So the standing planters, you can collect those as well and utilize the carbon from those. The standing planter, if you leave the area and come back, so if you teleport to one of my other bases and teleport back, these planters reset. So essentially you can get unlimited carbon at this point. One thing I do recommend that you do if you're going to visit these bases, go into your options, go into network, and make sure that multiplayer is disabled. If you do not have multiplayer disabled, then you take a chance on coming here and somebody's already collected the items and you won't be able to collect them. So make sure that you have multiplayer disabled before coming to this system. That way you can come in here every 24 hours. Since I've already done the work, you can come in here and you can utilize my base to make 1 billion units a day. Now, again, I appreciate everybody joining me today. Again, if you found this guide helpful, definitely click that like button, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. The button's right below the video. Feel free to go and visit all of my other videos for No Man's Sky or any of the other games that I've covered on my channel. Make sure to watch them, give them a like. You can also leave a comment on the video. That absolutely helps the video reach more people. Leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the video, on what you're spending your money on. what you spend after you sell your Stasis devices. What are you spending your money on? What are your plans? What do you want to do in No Man's Sky? What are you currently working on? But anyway, I appreciate everybody being here today. You folks take care and happy hunting.